the story that you have is my worst nightmare, which is that you did a college, you said a joke that they didn't like, and then they gave you the hook. They gave you the hook.
Yes.
What they
had an actual
they cut your mic or grab you or something?
No, they cut the mic. And that was
They cut your mic.
that hurt my feelings.
But the joke was good that you said, and it actually not even offensive. It's like
a
kind
progressive
of
joke, and about being gay can't be a choice because no one would choose to be gay if they're already black, right?
Right.
And that's the tag to the joke is the only person that chooses to be gay is Mike Pence. He chooses to not be gay every day. Like that's like what I was trying to get at. but
it was a segue joke.
Yeah, it really was. It was a transition joke, and that hit people's ear wrong. Maybe 10 minutes later, they were on stage. Like, you got to go. You're not entitled to those jokes. And I thought about it. They're right.
So you do think they're right?
No, not at all.
Your special on YouTube, which is great, it's called Lefty.
Lucky Lefty, yeah.
Lucky Lefty.
Yeah.
I.e. your testicle.
Yes.
Because you had testicular cancer.
I did.
You said that you have a fake ball. You have a fake ball.
Yes.
Prosthetic ball.
Correct.
What's it made of?
Silicone. I got a titty in my balls. It's my favorite. I like that line so much. I like that line a lot.
So when there's no nerve endings in it, right? So you can't
feel anything.
You can't feel it, but you can.
I'm aware of its existence.
Other ball can feel it.
Yeah. They're together.
So there's some symmetry.
Oh yeah, they're together. They're hanging out. I feel like the left one. It took a little while for it to get used to the new partner in town. But they have to. It's an arranged marriage now. They're growing together, living together.
How far into getting it taken out were you like, I'm talking about this on stage?
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, I was like, okay, this is something I have to talk about because I had come off, a year of touring.
Yeah.
I taped my first special, Thank You, China, in December 21.
Yeah.
January 2022, I have 15 shows left before I can take a 2-week break.
Yeah.
And then I got to go back out on the road.
Yeah.
And I had nothing because I was going back to some of the same cities.
Right.
I was just back out.
This is the best thing that could ever happen to you.
Exactly.
Cancer.
Yeah, it was just all right. That literally fell in my lap. When I was like, what the fuck am I going to talk about? And then I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to talk about. And if you go back to, if I were to show you my notes from last year.
Yeah.
I was literally writing it down every day. The things that had just marking down everything that happened.
Every doctor visit.
Yeah. Not even. It was just anything strange that happened that day. You
right.
know, as a writing technique. Mm-hmm. I try to start every year saying I'm going to recap the previous day every morning. Right?
Yes.
It's a fun, important exercise just for your own brain. And my memory's starting to go. So I was let me do some shit. And so I was doing that already. I was in that habit. And so when this happened, I was like, oh, this is why this habit is good. This is why I'm going to just take notes every day.
Yeah.
And every day something stupid happened.
Wow.
And so in those 5 days, I got at least 10 minutes a day, and then I whittled that down to what it became.
That's huge.
Yeah. It was just just sitting.
That's inspiring me right now.
Just sitting
you saying that is making me be like, I got to write tonight.
Yeah, but just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just recap what happened, and then your brain will be like, oh, that is funny. How do I make that funny? What's funny about it? Or what lie can I make up about something that happened today?
Yeah,
that would end up being funny.
Right. What's an exaggeration of something that occurred today that's funny?
Exactly. But luckily, every day, something that was true happened that I didn't have to make some shit up.
Wow.
And I was just like, this is crazy. This is going to be a very fun thing to write.
It's crazy. There's all this discussion. We talk on this show a lot about how do you find your voice as a comic and all this stuff. And it's literally what you're saying is how you find your voice.
Yeah.
You write every day. You write down what happened, and guess what? That's your voice.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, what? And then hopefully your brain eventually trains itself to, on the third sentence that you write or say, it's something funny. You know? Over time, your brain just becomes that way of operating. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool.
It's crazy. I didn't realize this at the time, but you wrote for Chris Rock's Oscars in
2016, yeah. When he hosted.
That's wild.
Yeah, that was my first writing job.
That's unbelievable.
You're telling me, yeah.
Was that just from meeting him at the Comedy Cellar?
No, that was before the Cellar. It was.
You weren't even past at the Cellar?
No. That was a pivotal in my, if ever I write a biography or whatever it is.
Yeah.
On my epitaph, on my tombstone, it will be like that. It's like a checkpoint in my comedy life.
Yeah, or would be in anyone.
Right. It was 2015. I just got rejected from Montreal for like the third time. And I was really like, what? I was really mad.
Yeah.
Right. More than anything, I was just like, come on. And July 2015 or so, August 2015, I think it was, Chris is coming to see Langston Kerman. Remember, you did Matchless a bunch of times, Broken Comedy, which is a show Che and I ran with our friend Mike Denny. And he's coming to see Langston Kerman.
This is before Michael Che was on SNL, I think.
No, it was right before. But I think he had just gotten Daily Show. It was like that summer almost.
It was that moment. It was Michael Che's moment.
Yeah. And he's coming to see Langston.
Yeah.
He's late. Chris is. And so Langston can't go up. No other comic is there who hasn't already gone up. And I'm like, well, Chris is coming? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going up. Chris walks in. I go up, have a great set. Chris tells me I'm funny afterwards. I'm like, that's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life.
It's like The Ring.
Yeah. I
you
made
won The Ring.
I made it at that moment to me.
For sure.
And then like 3 months later, he got the hosting job, and I got an email saying, come write.
No way.
I swear. I still got the email.
That is one of the most affirming things I think that can possibly happen.
Oh, it was insanity.
Is that someone who you respect to that degree just says like, nah, I think what you're doing is good. They don't even have to say you're that good.
No. He's just,
you go, hey, you're good.
I mean, you've met Chris a billion times. I'd be like, you know that face?
Yeah.
That incredulous face?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're really funny.
Yeah.
You're Chris Rock,
Yeah,
bro.
he does that thing.
Yeah.
He goes, he's saying, girlfriends, boyfriends, good. It's good. And then he's like thinking about it. He's like, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's like I surprised him or something.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a through line to what you're saying between like when you found out you had cancer and you're writing stuff down every day, and then you're pitching jokes to Chris Rock years ago for the Oscars. It all, and like some of them bomb and whatever. It all, like on this show, we talk about process so much. It so much comes back to just like doing it and doing it. It's all repetition. It's all just repetition.
Yeah, it's like anything you want to get good at. It's just, you just got to do it all the time.
Like I feel like a lot of times when people ask me for advice, it's like they want me to say the hack that's like, you don't have to do the work.
Yeah.
You can do this other thing so you don't have to do the work. And like, I don't know what to tell you. No, I just don't know what to tell you. You have to do it.
It's the hack is discipline. Like
it is.
It's just discipline.
Do you view yourself as disciplined?
Not at all.
Then how do you find it?
I have
when you're writing for Chris, or you're writing notes when you get cancer every day. Like, how do you find it?
I have to give myself a pressurized deadline or situation or goal that I'm aiming at.
This is great.
And
I'm saying this is great because I mean it's great for me. It's just a reminder to me to do it.
Yeah. It's everyone should do it in anything you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Whether it be writing or bicep curls, whatever it is. So like for me, I got to set with myself a goal, and then I have to like, okay, remind myself I have this goal, and then get to work on it. Because otherwise I'll just do it like a week before the thing is due.
Yeah.
Or like if I have to go out on tour, I'll wait like a week before to like start cracking on this hour. But right now I know I have 2 months until I go back out.
Yeah.
For real. And so I got to make sure I utilize that time. And it's just like a matter of at least putting the work in every day somehow.
I had Ira Glass on, and he was saying this piece of advice about basically like, if you want to do anything in the creative space, like start today. Don't do it tomorrow. Don't blah, blah, blah. Even what I'm saying, like what you're saying to me right now is inspiring me. It really is. And I think about this stuff all the time, and just, you saying it, we've known each other for a long time. Like I see you at the Cellar killing all the time.
I'm working.
And like,
thank you.
Yeah. And like I don't know. It's just like, for me, it just like gives me a push. I'm like, oh yeah. You know what's funny is the first time you and I ended up, I think, having a substantial conversation at the Comedy Cellar was about your op-ed about your gig at Columbia.
Yes.
Because you did a thing on the New York Times about how the story that you have is my worst nightmare, which is that you did a college, you said a joke that they didn't like, and then they gave you the hook. They gave you the hook.
Yes. I wish they had a hook, at least.
Right.
It would have been that would have been okay with if they had an actual
cut your mic or grab you or something?
No, they cut the mic. And that was
they cut your mic.
That hurt my feelings. It was just
so when you say they cut your mic, is the microphone off but you're talking regular?
I'm holding the mic, and there's the three young women who kicked me off are on stage, and they tell me to say closing remarks, and as I'm giving them, I try a joke that I try to make it a conversation, but it's a joke.
Yeah.
And falls flat.
Yeah.
And then I forget what I was saying afterwards, and then at mid sentence, oh, you cut my mic, and then I'm like, all right, cool.
So they walked on while you're doing stand up at Columbia.
Correct.
And they say you're done, basically.
Yes.
Could you please come off?
Correct.
I mean, this is wild. How many people in the audience?
A couple hundred for sure.
And are you doing well with the audience?
I'm not bombing, but I'm not killing. It's a college. It's a auditorium. It's not made for comedy. I followed breakdancers and poets. All right. I'm closing a show full of really heartfelt poetry, breakdancing, and a bunch of other Asian shit. And I'm just like, all right, what are we doing here? I know this is going to be an uphill battle, and it was. But
the joke was good that you said, and it actually not even offensive.
It's
like
a
kind
progressive
of
joke, and about being gay can't be a choice because no one would choose to be gay if they're already black, right?
Right.
And which, if you think about it, is a fairly progressive statement, and it's just like
pro-gay and it's pro-black.
Yes. As I say it, and as I stopped doing it for a very long time before that show. But I had to fill an hour, and I was like, I don't have an hour that I'm happy with, and I need something well structured. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what jokes I can put in. I was like, oh, that joke would work really well here because I was making fun of Mike Pence. And I said the tag to the joke is the only person that chooses to be gay is Mike Pence. He chooses to not be gay every day. That's what I was trying to get at. but
it was a segue joke.
Yeah, it really was. It was a transition joke, and that hit people's ear wrong. And I'm like, when I was saying it, then I stopped doing it because this. Who cares? This is too woke for me. I didn't want to be that clapter kind of person, and so I was like, screw it, I don't want to do this anymore. And but I had to do it because I needed to fill the time.
Yeah.
And the lesson there is just write more new shit. You won't have to do the old shit. And that was it. And after I said that, maybe 10 minutes later, they were on stage. You got to go. You're not entitled to those jokes. And I thought about it. They're right.
So you do think they're right?
No, not at all. No, absolutely not. What are we? Are you serious?
One of the reasons I love it is that everybody goes, you can't tell. Everybody who's not in comedy always says to me, you can't tell jokes anymore. And I'm always like, yeah, you can. Yeah. And then I'm like, well, one of my friends can't.
Yeah.
And it's you. That's my only example.
I know, that's the thing. It's and I'm doing better than I've ever done.
Right.
And after that, I did better than I ever did.
Right, it kind of blew you up.
The college gigs that I did get after that, they were like, nah, talk about it. We're not like that.
Yeah.
You could say whatever the fuck you want here.
Yeah.
Thank God for the South, okay?
Oh my God.
Thank God for those colleges.
Oh my God.
They might
you book like 3 colleges in the South?
They might be Christian, but God damn it. Those Christians have a good sense of humor.
Well, weirdly, you probably became like a signpost for right-wing people.
I became, or for at least some people, I became like, see, with that right wing, the liberal colleges are taking down their own because the right, quote unquote.
Well, that's one of their causes.
Yeah. They saw me as my favorite tagline was like the left eating their own. And I was like, oh, you just assume I'm left, quote unquote, and I am. I'm progressive, so to speak, but like I'm not like one of these like hyper vigilant liberal people,
right?
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like so that was like a big.
That was just a full assumption.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
based on you not being white,
exactly. Yes, 1,000%.
Which is kind of hilarious on its own.
Yes.
Too, which is the left eating its own, and they don't even ask you what your political.
No,
is.
Just a automatic assumption. Well, I was ex-SNL writer. Gets kicked off stage from Ivy League University / is Indian. Like, isn't this crazy? And that was a large part of the narrative for a while. But what was it?
Wait, did you go to Ivy League?
No, I went to NYU.
Oh, okay.
Rejected from Columbia twice. Okay. Twice.
Once from applying, once on stage.
Yes. Waitlisted and then rejected. We thought about it a bit longer and we've decided we were right in not letting you in the first time.
You graduated in 2008 with like a finance degree in like the financial crisis.
That was, I often say that's why I became a comedian. Graduating with a finance degree in 2008 was about the funniest thing you could do. And I don't want to say I'm not just a victim of that circumstance. I was also not the best student in college. And so, like, I came into college, like, thinking I was hot shit, you know?
Yes.
Went to NYU, fucking destroyed my SATs.
Yeah. Freshman
year, I got a 4.0 GPA. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to transfer to their business program, Stern undergrad.
Yeah.
And because how hard could math be? And and then I'm competing with people who have been like trading stocks since they were like 9.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I don't even know how the market works.
Right. Like, weirdly, comedy is a better bet.
Yes. And so I got in and I did that, but I graduated in 2008, jobless and very uncertain about what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Like, I was listless.
Wow.
And for like a year and change, I was unemployed, underemployed. Got the bug, 2009, August, stand-up.
Yeah.
Did it for the first time. I was like, this doesn't seem that hard.
Yeah.
So it was like,
you just had good sets right away.
I had a good set the first time.
Yeah.
Because it was the bringer at Stress Factory. What's that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was my first show ever.
That's so funny.
I brought 20 of my cousins.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So a bringer show, for people who don't know, because Zarna Garg was on the show and she talked about bringer shows and like people are like, what's a bringer show? And so I feel like I have to explain to people, you have to basically bring your own.
You got to harass your family to pay like $20 and then drinks and chicken fingers.
It's the pyramid scheme of starting out in comedy.
100%, except it ends with that first show. You know, like that's
it ends with the first show, unless you get you want to do more of it.
Yeah, I tapped certain friends a lot early on, and my family a lot early on to do those bringers. And after that, like once I did that show, I was like, it didn't seem that difficult. I'm smart. I went to NYU, graduated with a finance degree. How hard could comedy be?
Yeah.
And it was insanely difficult. It's very difficult.
So you were like, right out of the gate, you're at the Stress Factory in New Brunswick, and you're like, well, this is good. I'm going to be really good at this.
Yeah, I can try this.
Yeah.
And it seems like the investment is merely my time, which as an unemployed NYU kid,
2008,
I got plenty
2009.
I got plenty of time. And then it became my goal, because I was living at home, to then move to New York. Like, micro goal there. Like, I don't want to. I was taking a bus from my parents' place at like 3:00 in the afternoon, so I can hit open mics like 5. And if I missed that 3:30 bus, I would have to take the 4:00 bus, and then I would be destroyed in traffic.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in that traffic like, oh fuck.
For the younger listeners, what a bus is.
Yeah.
It's this big metal contraption that usually has 8 or 10 wheels on it.
Yep. And people who don't want to drive or have been banned from driving by the government still have jobs, have to go to work. They take the bus.
Do you remember your first joke that worked where you're like, oh, it's a good joke?
Yes. It was my McDonald's chicken nugget arbitrage bit. I don't know, it's very long, but it's based on a true story where I went to this McDonald's at 51st and 3rd one night and I was drunk and about to go to my friend's place, like, let me get some nuggets. And so I go into the McDonald's and there's 2 lines, but like on the menu, I'm looking like, all right, how much are 20 nuggets? And 20 nuggets is like $8.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's weird. That's a lot. Because you can get 5-piece nuggets for $1.
Mm-hmm.
So, or 4-piece nuggets for $1. So I was like, okay, well, if I just get 5 of those, that's $5. This is $8 for the same amount of nuggets. Like, why? The box can't cost $3 more. Like, what are y'all doing over here? And so I didn't do this, but I just argued with the cashier. I was like, do you understand what the this is preposterous. But like the joke I said was like they had 2 lines at this McDonald's, so I ordered a 4-piece nugget and tell them to put it in a 20-piece box and made it rain barbecue sauce all the way home.
Made it rain barbecue sauce.
That was just like it was my favorite, one of my favorite bits, because A, it happened.
Yeah.
B, I'd taken a scenario.
Well, part of it happened.
Yeah, part of it happened, but the other part I'd made the joke.
Yeah.
Right?
You embellished the second half.
Exactly. And it was complete.
Yeah.
It was like a full, done 2-minute thing where like I took people on a small little ride. A little
journey.
Yeah, and I got to say stuff like the part of like what I love about writing is sometimes you'll just do something that's for you.
Yeah.
And like hopefully someone in the crowd catches it. And I said, McDonald's is taking advantage of everyone too drunk to do math. I'm never too drunk to do math. and like that's my favorite part of it, because it's like I'm saying a lot about me. People who are Indian are like, oh yeah, Indian people never too drunk to do math.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm saying a lot about myself without having to say it.
Did you ever get beat up? Did you ever get punched in your life?
I'm sure I got punched once or twice when I was a kid. I think I was bullied when I was like 5 or 4.
For real, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. This kid, Jeffrey, was a bully. He pushed me into he never punched me, but he pushed me into like a sink like that. Like,
wow.
Like a counter like that.
Yeah.
And instead of it being, rounded, it was pointed. And so I got hit like right here and like went into my head.
Oh, shit.
And so I had to get like mad stitches.
Oh my gosh. Your parents must have gone nuts.
Yeah, I think my mom went a little crazy. I was like 4 or 5 years old, but they were like, well, can't really do anything. I think that that's why my mom's first like white people ain't shit moment. Because like
your first.
Yeah. I mean, in America, yeah, for sure. I was 4 or 5. I'm sure that was the first one where she encountered a white parent that she probably did not like.
Interesting.
And I think that's interesting to think about. But yeah.
Wait, what's the white people ain't shit moment in general? What does that mean?
Like this is a country made by white people for white people, and she had encountered a parent that was white that was like belligerent or overly defensive of some kid had done something wrong to her kid, and there was no and the school was run by white administrators, so she was just like, they're not really doing anything, they're not taking my side about this whole thing, like fuck it,
right?
And that was like her, I think one of her defining like can't trust this shit, kind of moments early on from that I encountered.
Did you feel like that, like as you got older? Did you feel like you had that a lot?
What?
The white people ain't shit moments?
No, absolutely not. I had a pretty pleasant. At least maybe I'm just blacking out all the moments that people were racist or anything to me, but I can't recall like a lot of racial or racist incidents happening.
Yeah.
There's like whenever I traveled to places, it would be like 20 of us.
Yeah.
What are you going to say to 20 people?
What are you going to say to 20 people?
Go home, all of you? Like, come on, bro. Like, no one's doing that. At least they didn't.
Okay. All right, so I'm working on new jokes.
You're working on new jokes?
For real.
All right.
That's what I do on the show.
Yes.
I run new jokes.
We're working it out.
We're working it out. Well, this is what I think is kind of funny. It's like my daughter's 8, which is like an amazing age, but I can't live in the present, and so all I do is my brain goes to when she's 16. She's just gonna be like, my dad is garbage. You know what I mean? But when I was a kid, my dad didn't have to worry about that because like they disregarded children.
Yeah.
We would say that, and they'd be like, "Is someone talking?" You know what I mean? But now I'm gonna have to be like, "She's so brave. I want to amplify her voice." You know what I mean? I am garbage.
You're annoyed that you have to be more of a parent than your dad was.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Really, you're just like, I can't. But you turned out fine.
I turned out all right, I think.
So like as a dad. Are you trying to embrace being a better dad than your dad was?
I guess so.
Because
I just think like no matter what, and this joke that I've been kicking around, which is like, no matter what, as a parent, like your kids will reject you.
Yes.
That's part of the process of growing up.
So start rejecting them now.
Start rejecting them now.
Flip the switch.
That's funny.
Have them come to you.
Yeah. But it's like, so I'm just sort of coming to grips with the idea of like, oh yeah, I guess that's going to happen. And yeah, how's that going to go?
Yeah.
But like I had this joke the other day where Jenny and I went to see our daughter in a ballet recital, and we're crying because she doesn't have it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in the business. I have a sense for this kind of thing.
She can't stand on her toes yet?
Yeah.
It's like 101. If you can't stand on your toes by 8 years old, ballerinaing is not for you.
Yeah.
No black swan for you, lady.
And then I was hugging her afterwards. I was like, Oona, you were fantastic. And she was like, Dad. And she said this. She goes, Dad, you would say I was fantastic even if I wasn't fantastic. And I said to her, I go, you're right. Like, that's true. Mm-hmm. I go, you're much better at logic than you are at ballet. Which of course I didn't say.
Dad.
But that's why she's going to come at me when she's 16.
Do you think, if you were to deliver that joke to your daughter, how do you think she would react?
I think she'd think it's funny, actually. Oona's my daughter's, of course I'm biased. My daughter's a genius. My daughter's funny, all that stuff. But It's like, I think she's pretty funny. I think she'd laugh.
I think for an angle of attack for the bit is your daughter outwitting you in the...
No, absolutely. Right? That's definitely what's happening.
Yeah.
She would say I'm fantastic even if I wasn't fantastic. Right. It's like I got checkmated by my daughter.
But what if you told her no, you wouldn't? What if you said no, I wouldn't? And then she was like, you wouldn't? What kind of father are you?
Oh, that's funny.
Dad, you're supposed to.
What kind of father are you?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I always appreciate something that turns the comic into an unexpected, like you take an unexpected turn in your voice or your joke for that moment, kind of thing. Like normally you would say, maybe you would end it on your daughter checkmating you, but I think always as like a fun exercise, like
what's the most extreme?
Yeah, like this, run it up.
Yeah. It
would be fun.
Completely. Yeah, and so a lot of things I've been ruminating on lately have to do with like me thinking back to like when I was 8, when I was 10, when I was a teenager. So much of like what I've, like what the way, I don't know what your process is in terms of like finding themes and stuff. It's like I kind of just do like a memory dump on stage in the sense of like, what's the thing I remember? What's a punchline for that? What's the thing I remember? Et cetera.
Yeah.
And the thing I keep coming back to from high school and from being an adult is I've always been someone who tries really hard. Mm-hmm. It's like I really wanted to get a job.
What prevents you from breaking that habit or being different, from not trying hard or changing your process? What compels you to try as hard as you do?
I would venture to guess.
I'm playing armchair psychiatrist at the moment.
I like it. It's dramaturgy. Yeah. or psychology, whichever way you want to describe it. I think honestly it's just a void. I think you try hard sometimes. In my case, just judge myself. I think you have a thing where you don't feel, in my case, like, one of your parents you don't feel maybe as loved by, and then you're like trying to fill the void that is that, and then you're like, you don't know how. And so one of the ways is just trying really hard by following the rules of what people are doing. That they seem like they knew what they're doing. And so I think that's why I end up trying so hard.
You think if you fixed that void, you would stop trying hard? Quite
possibly. I think about that all the time with Buddhism, because I like read a lot of Buddhist stuff, and and it's like a lot of it is if I arrived at this, the goals of Buddhism, I don't know if I'd have a lot of jokes.
That's the problem. This is all right, let's cut the mics and talk.
Let's cut the mics.
Talk some shit about Buddhism and Hinduism. I've been waiting. Y'all close your ears, everybody.
No, for real though. Like, do you ever think about that?
I think about it. I've been thinking about it recently. Actually, my friend reads a lot of Buddhist stuff too, and we were talking about this high on my stoop the other day. Mm-hmm. So it might not be the fullest, most fully coherent set of thoughts on Buddhism and its teachings of acceptance, because that's what it is, right?
Of course,
you're supposed to accept the world,
accept the reality as it is,
right?
or whatever it is, not even reality.
And in Hinduism, it's a little similar, where it's like they teach this concept of equanimity.
Yeah.
Which is just being even keeled in any situation.
Yeah.
Don't experience sadness. Don't experience happiness. Like, just be neutral, because the only truth in the universe is that we're from the universe. We go back to the universe. That's what one of the tenets of Hinduism is. And in trying to practice that, you remove your sense of joy.
Yeah.
Because you don't find happiness in anything, and if you get something, you're like, am I supposed to feel good about this?
Yeah.
So it stops you from feeling that.
It's kind of no peaks, no valleys.
Exactly. And so, like, I'm always trying to get to the core thing that makes me feel that way. Like, going back to why you're trying so hard and what void you're trying to fill. I think if you were to catch that thing and not practice Buddhism, you might actually enjoy the thing that you caught, like if you filled that void, and maybe you still keep trying hard because that brings you joy now. Does that track?
Can you repeat that last part? I tracked right till the end.
If you try really hard, if you get to the thing that's making you try really hard, like you're trying to fill a void, so you're trying to work really hard so that maybe you get this thing.
Yeah.
If you got that thing, let's say it's your dad's love.
Yeah.
Then
easy.
then I think you would try hard, because that trying hard will bring you an additional level of joy and work, as opposed to right now you're not enjoying the trying because it's not bringing you the thing.
Right.
You're just avoiding getting that thing.
Right.
So for me, like, working very hard after, like, I'm going to tie this back to the conversation about, you asked me about my parents. Is there anything I can't say?
Yeah.
For a long time, I didn't realize I did not know why my parents divorced when I was 2.
Yeah.
Right. And I had that conversation with my mom and my dad, not my father, my dad.
Yeah.
Who my mom remarried when I was like 4.
Yeah.
Only dad I've ever known. I resolved that issue, and now, like, all my work is like freer. I just intangibly freer somehow.
Interesting.
I'm like, okay, I'm not mad at this thing anymore. Whatever subconscious mad there was is gone, and now whatever work I was doing to not feel that mad is work I'm doing because I just enjoy doing the work.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So anyway, Hinduism and Buddhism are great philosophies, and you should practice them if you can.
That's your save?
Yes.
That's your save at the end?
Yes.
Do you have jokes you're working out?
Oh, man.
Do you want to bounce anything off me?
Constantly. Let's see. I've been working on a bit about who the first Patel must have been in the country. You know, they've got, it's like, because everyone's like, why are there so many Patels? And I say this joke in my first specials because we be fucking, right? But that just like that made me think about like who was the first guy?
Yeah.
Because what I know about Indians in America, how we ended up here.
Yeah.
Early 1900s, late 1800s, we were like brought here as work. Like we were working in like in the ports and all that kind of shit.
And thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We really appreciate it. And we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
We, the White Federation of America.
Bring it up at your notes at the meeting tonight. Then from like 1920 to 1920, there's a landmark Supreme Court case, Bhagat Singh Thin versus the United States, where he's arguing for his right to vote in this country, and because Caucasians are the only people allowed to vote. At the time, Indian people in India were considered from Caucasia, like the geographical to whatever that is. Right. I don't know, but they called us Indians because they called us Caucasians because they already had Indians, natives. And 1921, that case happens. They say Indians are not Caucasian. Moreover, so they can't vote. Moreover, you're all being deported.
Wow.
So they kick like 3,000 Indian people out of the country.
Wow.
And deport them. And so in 1965, America lifts the Asian American Exclusion Act. Yeah. Which like was put into place like keep Asians out of the country. Yeah. And the first Patel probably came over in like 1965. Okay. And they didn't go to like New York, like cool places. Yeah. They would end up in like Alabama. Sure. Yeah. Or and it's like, who was that first guy that told? And the story is they tell all their cousins to come over, work at the motels, work in these places. Yeah. And that's how, at least part of the Patel community became what it is, which is like the largest owners of motels and hotels in the country.
I didn't know that. That's news to me.
Very strongly held stereotype and very proud of it. But Patel Motel Cartel is like a thing. Hudson's definitely said it. Hudson's part of it.
Oh, really?
For sure. What I was saying is that first Patel was definitely lonely. and definitely a liar, right? Like, no, Jacksonville's
definitely
great.
Lonely, definitely a liar.
Jacksonville's fantastic. You gotta
That's
come.
A great joke.
Thank you, but
Jacksonville's fantastic.
You gotta come.
It is the ultimate diss track. Jacksonville's fantastic. That's a great album title too. Yeah. Jacksonville's fantastic.
Me and Cat Williams gonna go on
exactly.
9-minute tears about Jacksonville. I love I love that bit.
Oh, that's great.
But like that, I'm trying to expand.
That's an amazing bit. I think one of the things I love about that bit is that it teaches me something too. Yeah. Because you go over like all the the acts and all the different history of it. And it's like some of it I know, some of it I don't know. And so it's like I really enjoy it, and especially that it lands comedically.
Thank you. Jacksonville's
great, and also it hinges on like the person was a liar. Yes. Which is hilarious.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that dissection of it. It's just like I think there's a lot of meat on the like the explanation bones still. Yeah. I know I can make jokes about each one of those things. Yeah. Again, my MO for writing is like try to have a complete bit. Yes. I think
I have the same exact thing.
It's like,
because without the complete bit, what are you doing?
Right. I mean, I have tons of jokes.
Yeah, I have tons of. Trust me, I got cards and cards and cards of jokes, and I always say like I'm trying to create a special that essentially has 6 10-minute chunks.
Yes, exactly.
I'm trying to turn this into 6.
Structure it, add meat to it, whatever. Yeah. And so with this one, I know there's a ton of meat on the historical bones. Yeah. But like, it feels like a very early on. Like, I know there's more after Jacksonville's fantastic.
I think maybe there's some turn where you say like you're a liar in some way, or something where like, because I know I'm a liar. Maybe you know what I mean?
Maybe the family shows up, like they're there with their suitcases. You said Jacksonville was awesome,
right?
Man.
Right. You can say that. You can play
where are the women running around butt naked?
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. I'll add to it.
But.
No bugs at all, you said.
Right. You can start taking apart the places. No, but I really do think you could pivot into something that like you where you've done an analogous thing in your life where you're lonely and lying.
Yes.
It's like when I did this. You know what I mean? Like I tried to, convince someone to come out with me when I was, just like I was stuck. I was stuck in Fargo.
Yeah.
And so I asked an opening act to come and do the show with me. And I was like, it's great.
Yeah.
Crowds are great.
It's going to be a good time.
Great hotel.
Yeah. I got you, man. There's definitely running water.
Yeah. But like, I know what you mean. It's like that joke is very front heavy and it's got a really strong short punchline. But then like, it's like, well, then what?
Yes.
It's like, if this, then what else?
I kind of envision it as the act one of a 5-act hour-long play or of a movie.
Well, the other thing is like you could dig into like what you could find out the truth of like what the first Patel family was.
It's like it's so hard to trace that.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I think like the discovery of like, your theory is that first Patel was lonely and a liar. And then the act 2, I think, is finding out what the real Patel was like and how that compares and contrasts to what your theory is. And then no matter what, like if you're right, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
If you're wrong, that's pretty funny. Usually you're wrong is funnier than you're right.
100%. The first Patel was just an angelic benefactor of a man.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Or something else.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he was a cult leader.
I hope so.
Who knows?
I hope so. I hope I'm like 4th generation victim of a cult. I don't even know it.
Jesus.
That'd be sick.
So the final thing we do is working it out for a cause, and it's like we donate to an organization that you think does a good job, and then we link to them in the show notes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so like any nonprofit that you ever contribute to.
I have my cousin's nonprofit just started. He's a member, and then his wife is a co-founder of it. It's called South Asian Americans for Change.
That's great.
It's a mental health awareness nonprofit. Mental health in the South Asian communities, I think, like starting to get attention just now. It feels like almost a groundswell will happen soon, but it's just starting to get attention. And just like I am not a spokesperson for the organization, but I'm on, not the board, but whatever. It's like, I'm like, hey, here.
You're on Hey Here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I appreciate this organization. But my way of doing my charity for it is by just going to therapy and telling people I'm going to therapy.
That's great.
And I'm going to be doing like so many bits about it. But just there, like
it's like we can't. The comedians can't not think of anything in relation to how is this going to be a bit.
Yeah. No, I mean that's half the reason I went. Is like, all right, I'm out of shit to talk about again, and
we'll contribute to them. And thanks for coming on, man. The special's great. Congrats.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.